cried the sparrow.
You're listening to the Sailing into Oblivion podcast, where we sit down with everyday people who do extraordinary things. I'm your host, Jerome Rand.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. So this one is the first update for Out at Sea, going from Rockland, Maine down to Harwich, Cape Cod. And thanks to Joseph, we are able to upload these same day via Starlink for the first time on Mighty Sparrow. We have entered the 21st century here. The future is now. And yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm going to be recording out throughout the day, and then I'm going to upload these in the evening when all the exciting stuff has come to a halt, and we're ready to call it a day. But before we start this show, because this will be for October 25th, and we took off at about 8 or so in the morning. And actually, my morning started really, really early, but I did that. Well, I don't want to spoil it, but either way, if you want to help support the show and help support future adventures aboard Sparrow, please check out the links in the description for ways to donate, help, merch, books, all that sort of stuff. A plethora of way. We've got a 5% discount on total boat products, and if you want to reach out to me personally, sailingintooblivion.com for information about speaking and coaching, and then also just to reach out and say hello. I love hearing that. Awesome. All right, here we go. This is update from Rockland to Cape Cod, day one. Thanks for listening. Good early morning, everybody. Welcome aboard the Mighty Sparrow just before she embarks on her... Well, I don't want to say final voyage. That sounds really, really not a great thing to say. No. Let's say one of her last voyages for 2025, of which there have been a plentiful amount since January. No. It's the witching hour. Precisely 3 a.m. No alarm needed. And you might ask yourself, well, why in the heck aren't you getting a good night's sleep tonight, Jay? Bud, come on. Heck, get back in bed. You got 3-4 more hours you can get. Well, we're leaving. We're leaving by about, I'm guessing, 7-8 a.m., something like that. And, I'm fighting this yawn so hard right now. I'm doing it all for you guys. Just fighting it. Every ounce. Because I'm staring at a kettle near boil. And I've got a coffee cup here with some delicious Nescafe Taster's Choice medium blend. And a little bit of that powdered creamer that I know is poison, but is also really tasty. And I've grown accustomed to it over the years. And I have not had any yet because water's not. If you haven't made that connection, that leap, the water is still in the kettle, not in the cup. But you better buckle up. Prepare yourself for the slurp, the sip. It's coming. And it's going to be glorious. Yeah. We got a lot. Oh, Lord. That's me stretching, not yawning. Again, fighting it with every ounce of my being. Oh, as soon as I see some stuff. Okay, there we go. Woo! Oh. Get this in there, and I'm gonna actually, let's see if we can get some sound effects. So I pour it in, and then I do a little mix. You know, it's all about efficiency, people. We don't want to have to use a spoon. And then I pour the second half of the water in. And that's coffee by your old pal J. Rome. Isn't that great? Oh, Lord. I caught it just in time, about 10 seconds before boil. So it's probably 185 degrees, just about the same temperature I like to run my diesel at. Oh, oh my gosh. It's so good. That's literally like, here's the best way I can put how my brain, or I shouldn't say my brain, but my attitude functions. If my attitude, like when I first wake up, my attitude is like you fired up your old diesel and it's like out of sync for some reason. It was a real cold start and maybe one of the cylinders isn't quite 100% fire and it's like at 90. And so everything is off. That first sip and then that second sip, ooh, that was a little hot. That sucker just aligns it all. It's just like that little squirt of NOS. And I know you don't use that with a diesel, but maybe you do. I don't know. Or the turbo kicks in. Whew. Either way, we're back, baby. Yawns. See you later. Okay. So, little updates. Obviously, we launched yesterday. I had a car. I'm down below, and I'm trying to fire up the engine, which I was having a lot of trouble with. Granted, it had been a while, and it was cold. Well, it shouldn't have taken that long. And I come up on deck because I don't want to be the guy who ruins the starter because he just won't give up on it. I come up on deck, and I look over, and I see a bunch of police cars. And then I kind of look a little closer and I see a mast of a boat all tipped over. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what has happened here? Essentially, there's the boatyard is down here. And then, all around it, there's a pretty steep hill that goes up. And a car, thankfully everybody's okay, basically hopped the curb, slid down the embankment, and popped a boat right off its stands, a little 28 or 30 footer, 26, 28 footer, and bumped it off another boat. That one didn't come off the stands, and then nosedived right into the yard. Holy smokes. Next thing I know, there's a fire truck, ambulances, all sorts of stuff. It was crazy. So yeah, be careful out there. Don't text and drive. I shouldn't say that. I mean, no, I think that is a good thing to say at all times. I hate seeing people text and drive, and it's really dangerous. You got to pay attention to the road. It's the most dangerous thing we do out there. That's my public service announcement. Stay aware, stay acute. Driving is dangerous. But I don't know if these people were, so who knows? I don't want to. I guess, talking with everybody, the old lore here is that decades ago, somebody had a heart attack when they were driving, and once they passed, their car was still moving and went right over the rail and basically had like a 10-foot drop into the yard, which must have been crazy. But the short and skinny of that story is that I come down after having a little breather, a little break, and I'm kind of like, okay, before I sit here and try and, get every ounce of life left in this starter motor, let's take a look at everything first. So I take a gander, and I notice that one of the wires that goes to some little doohickey that I have yet to identify exactly what it is. It's right next to the first of the injectors, has come sprung. It's come out of its little butt connector jobby, and then I put that back in, just shoved it right in, didn't have time to do the whole, crimp on a new one. And lo and behold, she fires, not right up, but pretty much fires right up. And then I run some water into the sea strainer, and we run her for about 5 minutes, and all is well. Lesson learned there is if something's not working and it don't seem right, don't keep it. But I'll tell you, it's like a disease. It's sickness that everybody, I think, who owns a boat has. And it's when you are trying to start an engine and it doesn't want to fire. You just want to keep your finger on that button. Oh, I know I do. I'm just giving it a couple more seconds, and then you're starting to see sparks fly and smoke come out of that starter. Those cables are getting hot. Thankfully, they're like 2 gauge or 0 gauge or gigantic because they need all that juice immediately. But thankfully, I didn't do that. Thankfully, cooler heads prevailed. So that was good. Got that all squared away. That's always the last, most nerve-wracking thing. You don't want to be the guy in the slip who can't get the engine started. That has happened to me before. And then the yard hands, who are great people, especially here at Night Marine, have to tow you over to the dock. And then you're under the gun for real because, usually there's other boats and things like that. And now you're clogging up the artery of progress, which you never want to be. That's not a fun place. But luckily, I was the last one to go in, and everybody else was able to bounce after that one. But didn't have to worry about it. Engine was already run. Hopped in the water, checked. We were not sinking, and we still are not sinking, I believe, which is a good thing. And motored right over to the dock. It was the shortest passage of Mighty Sparrow's life. Sum total of maybe 85 feet. And safely to the dock we be, where we started kind of doing all the little bits and bobs, putting the spray skirts on, and obviously hoisted all the flags. Got to do that. That's just mandatory for this lovely vessel. And wow, I can't believe it. We're gonna set sail here in just a few short hours. But to circle back to why I'm awake right now, because we've got a multi-day passage just to get down to Cape Cod. It's probably going to be two nights. If I stay in bed and I get a good 8 hours of sleep, then essentially I'll be up most of the day. And then tomorrow night when we have to get into the watch schedule, because normally that's kind of the MO, then I'm going to be real tired. And then the next day I'm going to wake up really tired. But in all the years of doing this, I find that if I do get up at like 3 a.m, or sometimes get up at midnight and stay up for about 3-4 hours and then back to bed, you can see where this is going. I have some of the smartest listeners out there, so I don't have to lay out all the breadcrumbs, but I'm trying to get an early start on the watch system. Plus, excuse me. Oh, this little heater. Woo. Plus, I can get a jump start because I got to take those flags down. They're making a bunch of racket up there, bouncing around off my rigging. I've got to tape my rigging. I want to get the mainsail fed in. I want to do one last stow. I want to check the weather, download that. Big shout out again to Joseph out there in Chicago for lending us his lovely Starlink. And we hooked that up last night. That was easy. Wow. Talk about plug and play. Jeez Louise, that was crazy. Just to be able to turn the thing back on, it was basically go on the website, choose your plan, press OK, and good. It was too easy. I'm almost a little suspect that I did something wrong, but I don't think I did. Either way, tried that out, and it worked. So we are going to have live updates coming to you each day. Starting today, starting this morning. So when you are listening to this casual pod, it's real time. I've wanted to do this for many, many trips, and I think that's pretty darn cool technology. But brought to you by Joseph, proud sponsor of this podcast, technically. Oh, man. So, I got to make the bed. I got to stow the skateboard. Holy cow. I had a quick ripski, Adam and I. Oh, man. So, Rockland used to have Joe's Taxi. And Joe's Taxi was great. They were everywhere because there's so many people coming off of the Vinyl Haven and North Haven ferries and all that sort of stuff. Well, they don't have it anymore. And the one taxi company that I could find doesn't seem to be running either. And, you plug on the old Lyft app and nobody around for that one. But I kind of figured, oh, well, let's walk to the grocery store. It's a mile away. And we'll grab some groceries and then we'll catch a Lyft and we'll be back here on the boat. Well, that didn't go according to plan. And we kind of were very picky with what we got. Or what we purchased. Let's get some English right. And yeah, we loaded up four bags plus a couple other little bundles. And I'm searching for a ride and we can't find one. We probably should have just begged and borrowed and pleaded with somebody in a pickup truck, but we didn't. Either way, long story short, we start walking away. And then the paper bags rip. And so we used our sweatshirts, wrap those babies up, and we're walking through the neighborhoods here in lovely Rockland. And thankfully, somebody on their porch was like, "Do you guys want some bags with some handles?" And we were much obliged to take the generosity of the stranger. Lovely lady, thank you so much. Whomever you are, doubt you're going to hear this, but if you do. And then get back to the boat and realize that we forgot a whole bunch of stuff. And so I grab El Skateboard, the electric Isn't Wheel, which is a weird name, but whatever. And I proceed to rip in the fading light down the street at Mach 10. Thing does like 28 miles an hour. I never go over 25, but rip back to the grocery store, run back in there, and here... You want to know what I forgot? Bacon. I forgot bacon and beef jerky. Wow. I don't know. I must be slipping. The old man's starting to lose it. But we got all those. There were a few other things we were supposed to get, and I couldn't. So when I got back to the boat, we were going to do another. I was like, oh, well, let me just do a little Instacart. And then they kept pushing it back further and further and further. This is all taking place about 6:30 last night. Finally canceled that order after they pushed it back to 10:30 because I was fading fast. And yeah, so we're missing a few things. But again, Cape Cod's only a couple days away. We got plenty of food, plenty of water. I would have loved to have had Brita filters so that we can filter. Even though this water does taste pretty darn good, I always like to give it that final little push. It's a 3-filter system. I like to use aboard Sparrow. I got the one that's in the unscrewable plastic cone thing, goes under the sink, and then I've got an inline filter they use for like RVs and fill-ups, so it goes through that one, through the other one, and then I usually pour it into a Brita pitcher that you would find in any household, and then I pour those when I have the chance to fill up a gallon jug, and then I'm good to go. But yeah, so maybe we might have time, go snag something like that, do a little breakfast, something, but we'll see. Oh Lord, that's so good and warm. I love it. Delicious. Had the fridge. Fridge was a little finicky. Again, fired it up and didn't want to push any Freon or whatever it uses to get the cooling plate cold, so had to pull out the old trick, except I no longer have that little tiny titanium camping pot, which works so good because it transferred that heat so well right to the plate. So again, the trick, if you haven't seen the YouTube video, it's worth a watch, where essentially you get these little particles of gunk in the system and they plug up the almost microscopic little holes that let the Freon flow, if that's what's flowing. And yeah, essentially it pushes it back into the compressor and thus allows for
those particles to hopefully just bounce around in the compressor and not make it to the cooling plate. Well, what did I do this time? At first I started with just a little Tupperware, but that didn't really push the heat. So then I boiled more water. I put a dish towel in there, so it was full contact with the cooling plate. Poured that on there, added a little more, and we were good to go. After about 20 minutes, fired it back up. And let's do a little check right now. Oh, see if the proof is in the pudding. Oh, frozen. The miracle of expansion and contraction, heating and cooling. My gosh, we are so lucky to live in this age of technology. Wow, that's me spouting off. So I think what I'm going to do now that I am fully gassed up with my coffee, with my brew, my delicious Nescafé, you can hear me trying to get the old sponsorship. Well, you wouldn't be wrong. You wouldn't be wrong at all. I'm going to do a full systems check. And then I'm going to go up on deck once I'm toasty warm. I'm going to fire up the engine. We're going to just basically go through it all. So systems check for this one. Electronics, we're going to do the AIS. We're going to do the VHF. We are going to do a power check with the inverter. We're going to check the lights because it is still very dark outside. Perfect time to do that. And any other electrical, let's see, fridge, compass light. That's it. That's all I have. The little Jackery power pack seems to be working just fine. Love that. And yeah, I think that's about it. We're going to download the weather, and that's going to be our electrical system. Navigation-wise, the paper chart seems to be working. It's lying there pretty much. It's still there. It hasn't burst into flames or torn itself in half, so we can always count on that. Logbook's already filled in for the first check. Then we're going to do plumbing, Seacocks, get a gander at each one of those, make sure that looks good. We're going to do plumbing as far as the head, the bilge pump. We're going to check that, make sure that's all running, and then we're going to go on deck, and that's when we'll start plugging away. We're going to tape all the shrouds, although part of me wants to fine-tune the rig a little bit, which I'll have to do once it's light, get an eyeball up that mast. Oh, Mongo's good. Probably oil that up, and that's about it. And because I've already heated the coffee up, I know the propane system is working just fine. And yeah, that should be about it. Make my bed. I think I'll start with that step. Make my bed first, and then get underway. And then, the nice part is if I wrap all this up around 5, 6 in the morning, I can bed down for a quick hour-long nap. And when Adam arrives from his comfy little motel room, then we're good to go, and we will bounce. Or I'll get up and make some breakfast, and then he can walk to the store and go grab whatever last little things. It's mostly, I think it was like some mac and cheese, and I can't even remember what the other ones were. Oh, yeah, the Brita filters, but we couldn't find them anyway, so we could have found the mac and cheese, but that delicious, delectable treat that you don't get to have all that often because it just goes straight to my waistline. Oh, my goodness. All right, everybody. I'm going to kick it into gear. Thanks for listening. I'm just going to keep Mod Podging these together and then, boom, shove them out there into the world. Like I said, we're going to be doing daily updates on this little voyage adventure, and we're going to see how far south we can get amidst the tumultuous and tempestuous, how's those for words, windy weather systems that are coming off the coast. Yeah, thoughts and prayers going out to the people of Jamaica, Cuba, and Dominican Republic, and Haiti. Hopefully this hurricane dampens down and doesn't dump over 2 feet of rain on any of those islands. But yeah, it's not looking great. So keep them in your thoughts, everybody. That's going to be a rough ride. No fun at all. All right, let's get to it. Thanks for listening. All right, folks, we're back. Whoa. My plan, I'm talking to the podcast, bro.
Yeah, sorry, bro.
Don't worry, it's all good.
Oh my God, a rock.
Yeah. Ha, ha, ha.
Never heard that one before.
So the plan worked a little bit. Definitely. We got, just woke up from a nice little 2-hour nap ski. And we are sailing beautifully down pretty much, we're just about due south of actually Rockland right now. And it's about 3 in the afternoon. Let's get some stats for it, y'all. Yeah, we're about 26 miles south of Rockland, so not too bad. It was a little bit light in the beginning, and we've had to kind of broad reach our way. A couple of jibes, but that's good. Work out the systems, get all the cobwebs out of all these blocks, and especially Mongo. You know, a little device like an Aries wind vane that needs to be very nimble, if you will, and balanced. When it's been sitting in the grime and grit of the boatyard, sometimes has a tendency to get a little seized up. So actually, I think as I say that, I'm probably going to heat up some water and give it a bit of a dousing, try and clear out anything, and then re-lube it one more time just to get everything all balanced up. But I think one of the projects, once we get down to Cape Cod, is going to be seeing if we can find some wood to make new wind blades, because we got this beautiful workshop. The wind blades that I have, the replacements that I made, not quite the right kind. You know, it's weight, it's width, and these are made out of some sort of little ply, something or other, with a bit of a laminate or a veneer on them, and the veneer is starting to peel off. So not too happy about it. Luckily, though, I did keep one blade, one of the actual blades that came with it. So I have the type of wood, the thickness of wood, and pretty much the size of it. Just the bottom is busted off, but that's easy enough to manufacture. But yeah, we're cruising south. Let's see, what do we have stat wise? We got 153.6 nautical miles to go to our destination, which we're not going to be able to do that in a straight line. We're definitely going to peel off a little bit towards George's Bank for the rest of the day, and then we're probably, as the winds shift out of the north, which this, you know, as long as the forecast holds, which I think in the short term it will allow us to stay on a nice shallow broad reach in, 8 to 12 knots of wind, and then head right beeline it for kind of Cape Cod and Nantucket, because we're going to enter in on the eastern cuts. Let's see, what's this one called? Potluck Ridge, 3 nautical mile. Menominee, the Menominee Shoals, so the Potluck Channel, or Pollock Channel, Pollock Rip Channel. Hopefully we get that one timed. I'm always a little bit suspect whenever they have rip in the name, because a rip is definitely not a welcome thing. It means the currents are absolutely ripping through there. But yeah, so we're looking pretty good. And we're doing between 4.8 and 5.6, so let's call that 5 knots, which would be 124 miles in 24 hours, which would put us getting close to Cape Cod tomorrow night. But
with the fact that we're headed towards George's Bank now, I think that's going to add another 20, 30 miles, which is good because that'll add a bit more time as well. And, ideally, we're going through that cut and all that sort of stuff at first light. And then we pull into Cape Cod sometime in the morning. But it's a beautiful day. We got lovely clouds out there. Nothing too crazy. The sun is still shining. I definitely have had to throw on a few coats of the old sunscreen to make sure I'm not getting too crispified. I don't want to get too weathered out here on this first little jaunt. Still pretty cold. I'm not going to lie. I have thermals and my foul weather pants, bibs. I've got thermal and I've got an old sweater, and I'm probably going to put my poof jacket back on too. No hat at this point, but that's okay. And tonight, we have a treat. They dropped off some lobsters, some pinchies for some of the boys at the yard, and they were like, yeah, man, grab a couple if you need. So this morning, grabbed a couple, and it was actually kind of funny. I put them in a little cardboard 12-back container that we had a couple of Budweiser Zeros in, and I went and just dumped the beverages into the fridge, and then I threw the lobsters in there, and the broski came in and went for one of them and reached his hand in there and was like, nope. Luckily, they did have the rubber bands on, so no big deal. But those would be a tasty treat for tonight. And then we have the added bonus of, if we don't feel like having some lobster tonight, we can just throw them right back in the sea for their second chance at survival. Plus, they'd be way offshore, so chances are they would live a long and glorious life out here while they try and march back to the shallows, I bet. But yeah, anyway, all systems are go. We're doing well. Pipe wrench is on the prop shaft. The boat seems to be doing just fine. In these, this is like the best. Whenever I'm setting out on any sort of passage, whether it's just 24 hours, a couple of days, a couple thousand miles, doesn't matter. I always like to start off nice and easy and just kind of gradually begin to stretch the halyards, the stays, the keel, the rudder, everything, get it back into working shape before I smack it, or not I, but the ocean smacks it into shape and starts testing the vessel for weakness. But yeah, we had good long morning though. Once I got up, I stayed up and did a big old fry up, little bacon, egg sandwich, little cheese, that was good, and then just stayed with it and went around dinking around and getting everything settled. Topped up the old transmission fluid. Oil's all good. Engine ran great, which is awesome. That was a surefire little test there. And yeah, we're still floating, so that is a big-time bonus. I don't know. I guess that's kind of the update at this point, and yeah, I guess I'll throw this sucker out maybe later on this evening. We'll pop the old Starlink out there and upload this into the ether so that we're doing this in as much of real time as humanly possible. But we're going to catch a sunset here in the next couple of hours. Maybe the old Adam will take a snoozer at some point, and then we'll get into the night watch schedule. I'm hoping for some clear skies, but I don't think we're going to get that tonight. I don't even really know what phase we are in the moon, but I can pull that up real quick with my handheld device. Let's see, where are we with the moon? Tonight, moon sets at 7:35, so it is pretty much just a little thumbnail moon, and so we're not going to see any of that, which would be great for the stars. Sure would love to see that 3-eye Atlas, whatever it is, that big old comet that's up there. Yeah, we don't really have anything in the sky happening that's super fun. Not until November 5th with the supermoon. That's cool. And then the northern torrids, those scary, those are the scary meteor showers. If you're unaware, those are typically the ones that produce the big ones. The planet killers, not to get crazy on you or anything like that, but they do think that, any of the huge impacts that we've ever had over the last millennias and, geologic timescale, those are probably where the big ones come from. But those are cool. You usually get a pretty substantial amount of really, really good big meteors in that one. But yeah, like I said, that's not until mid-November, and then followed by that is the Leonids. Leonids? I can't even pronounce that correctly, but either way. So yeah, hopefully we'll get some clear skies and some good stars, and do a little gazing tonight. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, we're just gonna keep on sailing. It's that old adage of like, well, a good sailing trip's a boring sailing trip because it's not an excitement-filled, oh my gosh, we sank, or you won't believe what happened, or the weather was so scary and I thought I was going to die. We're kind of looking for a nice, easy, kick back and read a few chapters in the book kind of sail. And I'm more than happy to oblige that. Our weather looks really, really good as far as the wind goes. I didn't really check the rain or anything like that, but hopefully it abstains and we just get a nice little crossing here of the good old Gulf of Maine, that sometimes unruly, but most times very calm and docile little body of water. But yeah, and we'll be tucked in up in Cape Cod well before the winds start to howl and blow and those low pressure systems catch up with us, and we'll just wait those out. Got plenty to do and plenty to work on while we're there, which is great. Nice little workshop to be able to futz around with all our stuff and maybe even get to the chain plates like I said I was going to do, and I did not do. So always a few things. It's a boat. Always a few things. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your support. Really is a huge pleasure. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy these updates, and be another one coming tomorrow. So enjoy.